My name is Ethan. I live alone in a small ground floor apartment on the outskirts of Portland. It's not a bad area, but it's quiet. Too quiet sometimes. My bedroom has one large window that faces the backyard. There's a small fence, a few dead trees, and a pathway nobody uses anymore. That backyard is always dark at night because the buildings outside light broke a year ago and nobody fixed it. I have lived there for 8 months. Everything was normal until 3 weeks ago. It was Thursday. I went to bed around 1 a.m. after gaming with my friends. I remember checking the window like always. The curtains were closed and locked with a small latch on the top. Around 2:35 a.m. something woke me up. At first I thought it was a dream, but then I heard it again. A faint whisper right outside my window. Ethan, my eyes snapped open. My room was completely silent. The fan wasn't even on. I sat up slowly and listened. For almost a full minute, nothing happened. I told myself I must have imagined it. I even laughed nervously to convince myself. I tried going back to sleep. 5 minutes later, the whispers came again, but this time clearer. Ethan, open the window. I shot upright. I didn't look at the window. I didn't breathe. I just froze with my blanket pulled up to my chin. There was no way someone knew my name. I stayed awake until the sunrise. I kept telling myself it was a dream. Maybe I was overworked. Maybe it was from the horror podcasts I listened to. But the second night proved it wasn't my imagination. At exactly 2:27, the voice returned, but this time it slowed like my mom. Not just similar, exactly like her. Ethan, son, open the window. My chest tightened. My mom leaves 3 hours ago, away from here. She would never come without telling me. I called her immediately with my shaking hands. She answered in half asleep. Ethan, what happened? Why are you calling now? Mom, are you outside my apartment? She sounded confused. What? No, I'm in my bed. Are you okay? I didn't know what to say. The voice outside whispered again, softer. Ethan, please. I hung up the call, grabbed my phone, and slowly walked out of my room shaking. I didn't sleep that night either. By the third night, I was terrified to sleep in my own room. But I was also exhausted. I told myself I was hallucinating voices because of sleep deprivation. I finally fell asleep around 3 a.m. At 3:40 a.m., I woke up to a new sound. Tap, tap, tap. Someone was tapping on my glass, not knocking, tapping, almost like fingernails. I sat up instantly. Then as soon as I moved, the tapping stopped. A long silence, then the voice spoke, but this time it sounded like it didn't sounded like human at all. It was lower, broken, glitchy, like something trying to intimidate a person but failing. I know you are awake. My stomach dropped. I grabbed my phone and opened my backyard security camera app. I had installed the camera months ago after a package theft incident. There was a notification. Motion detected 3:41 a.m. I opened the live feed. Something was standing near my window. Tall, very tall, as in 6 feet. Thin, its head slightly tilted towards my window. Exactly where I was sitting. Even though the video quality wasn't the best, I could see one thing clearly. It had no face, smooth, pale skin, no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Then the thing slowly turned its head toward the camera. It stayed like for 10 whole seconds. Then the screen glitched and the figure suddenly wasn't there anymore. I ran out of my apartment and sat in my car until morning. The next day I called the police. 2 officers came and checked the backyard. There were no footprints, no signs of forced entry, nothing. They looked at me like I was paranoid or sleep deprived, which honestly I was. But suddenly, one of the officers said something that scared me more. Sir, if someone really was outside your window, they would have left some sign. That area is all mud and leaves. Something definitely should have been disturbed. But it wasn't. Nothing was touched. It was like the thing floated. For the first time, I decided not to sleep. I stayed in living room with all lights on. Around 5 a.m., when sunlight was coming in, I went in my bedroom to grab clothes. When I moved the curtain, I felt my heart stop. Something was written on the window in fog. Let me in tonight. I ran. I didn't pack anything. I booked an Airbnb the same day and didn't return for 3 days. The Airbnb was on the 2nd floor, no backyard, no accessible windows. It felt safe finally. I slept early that night around 12:10 a.m. At 2:19 a.m. Tap, tap, tap. I woke up instantly. No, not again, not here. The tapping was coming from the wall next to my bed. A wall with nothing behind, no window, no access. My phone light up. Unknown number. Ethan, open your window. I didn't have window in that room. Then the tapping moved to the wall behind me. Slow, dragging taps. Almost like it was feeling around, trying to learn where I was. I grabbed my bag and ran out of the Airbnb barefoot. I didn't sleep that night either. I returned to my apartment the next morning to collect my things and officially move out. I was done. I was packing my clothes when my phone rang again.